Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, if you read the title, you know what this video is about. So if you all think that you have enough food prepped away, you're going to have to think twice and probably reconfigure your figures, because I know I don't have enough food put away for what's coming. Alright, and as you can see here, this video that I'm doing, this presentation, is not about the grand minimum that's headed our way. However, it's a very short part of it, and I wanted to read this to you because it has value to what we're going to be speaking about here in a minute. So if you all don't know who Valentina Sarkova is, she is a scientist. I believe she specializes in the sun, but she's got a whole bunch of different degrees. And she gave a speech here, or a presentation, not too long ago, sometime in October of this year, where she was able to show a panel of global warming specialists, or people that specialize in the global warming field, how we are entering not only a solar minimum, but a grand solar minimum. Okay? A grand solar minimum is different than a solar minimum. If any of you have heard of a solar minimum before and have done a little bit of research in it, you'll know that the sun goes through cycles that last about 11 years and 3 months. And those cycles are either maximum or minimum cycles. Okay? Solar maximum cycles are where the sun produces lots of sunspots, and those sunspots send energy our way, which helps to warm the earth and send energy that helps vegetation grow. Okay, I'm trying to put it in a layman term, that way everyone that's listening can understand it. Okay, and now on a solar minimum is the opposite, is where the sun produces less sunspots, therefore not sending as much energy our way. All right, which helps to reduce the protection that the earth gets from from rays coming from outer space. All right, from cosmic rays coming from outer space that help to produce cloud nucleation. All right, cosmic rays shooting through our atmosphere helps to produce cloud nucleation, which in fact assists in the bouncing of the energy that the sun is sending us. So for example, the more clouds that we have in our atmosphere, or in our skies, the more energy from the sun that is bounced back into space. Okay, and cosmic rays help to produce more clouds, in other words. All right, and the reason that more cosmic rays get through our atmosphere during a minimum is because the sun is not shooting as much energy our way that helps to protect us from those cosmic rays. I hope you guys could understand that the way I put it. If you want to get a much better understanding of what the grand solar minimum or maximum is, go take a look at Oppenheimer Ranch project. All right, I mentioned him several times in my videos in the past. Go take a look at Adapt 2030. Go take a look at Ice Age Farmer, and we have Dark Ages Rambling. All right, or Dark Age Ramblings, who's one of our subscribers here. Go take a look at those channels, and you can get a better understanding of exactly what a grand solar minimum and a grand solar maximum is. What threatens us the most, all right, is a grand solar minimum, because without the energy from the sun being able to penetrate our atmosphere and provide that energy, that light energy, to our vegetation, then the growth of food is a lot more difficult. And if you've read history, there's been times in history where there have been what have been called years without a summer. And what they meant by years without a summer is that the snow from the previous winter never melted that summer, therefore making it pretty much impossible for people to produce food, to grow food. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read this real quick. It's very, very short. I'm going to read this for you guys, and then I'm going to go on to something else that I worked up, so you guys can understand exactly why it is that if you think you have enough food prepped away, that you're probably wrong. All right, I've got a fair amount of food prepped away, all right, but I know that I don't have enough put away for what's coming in the future. And I'm not trying to scare anyone by this, okay? But the good news is that we have time. Like I've said in the past, we've been blessed with time so that we can prepare. So those of you that haven't started prepping, you need to really take heed to all the warnings around you, and you need to take heed to this message right now that you need to start prepping. I'm going to prove to you here in a few minutes by showing you a chart of our grain supply that the U.S. does not have enough grains put away to feed the country for more than 2 months if something were to happen, okay? So let me go ahead and read this first. So here it says Professor Valentina Zarkova, and she's from Russia, just in case you guys were interested in knowing where she's from, confirms super grand solar minimum. And this was published on the 22nd of November of this year. However, she gave her speech or her presentation to the global warming professionals that she was giving it to. I think it might have been IPCC that she was giving it to. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but it was a bunch of people that are on the global warming side of things, all right? And she pretty much convinced them that we are going into a grand solar minimum, okay? So there is a YouTube video out there that has her entire presentation. It's about an hour and a half, and I would say that it would probably heed you to go and take a look at that video. The only thing that I had a problem with watching that video is that she has a pretty thick accent, but if you listen to it carefully, you'll be able to know exactly what she's saying. Okay, so Professor Valentina Zarkova gave a presentation of her climate and solar magnetic field hypothesis on the Global Warming Policy Foundation. Okay, so this is the people that she gave the presentation to. The Global Warming Policy Foundation in October of 2018. The information she unveiled should shake and wake you up. Okay, and who is this? This is the grandminimum.com. All right, this is where I'm getting this from. I will leave the link to this and to the other pages that I'm referencing for this video. Okay, Zarkova was one of the few that correctly predicted solar cycle 24 would be weaker than cycle 23. Only 2 out of 150 models predicted this. So she was 1 out of 2 scientists that predicted that cycle 24, which is the cycle that we're in now, okay, we're going into 25, was going to be weaker than cycle 23. All right, and if you've heard some of my previous videos covering this subject matter, you'll know that the IPCC's prediction was off by more than 60%. All right, so listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a government-funded institution, all right, whose model was off by more than 60%. Okay, here Ms. Zarkova, her model was 93% accurate, which is really, really good. Okay, her models have run at a 93% accuracy, and her findings suggest a super grand solar minimum is on the cards beginning 2020 and running for 350 to 400 years. All right, so having said that, ladies and gentlemen, this is not supposed to scare you. Saying that it's running 350 to 400 years starting in 2020, it doesn't say that that's the end of humanity. We are pretty fortunate in the era that we live in that we have technology on our side. And unfortunately, mankind, more times than not, decide to use technology for doing bad than doing good. However, in order for humanity to continue, we're probably going to have to start using all of these technologies that all these governments have hidden from its people to start doing good in order for us to be able to just feed ourselves. All right, so we do have the resources, we do have the technology available to us in order to be able to get through this super grand solar minimum. But it's not going to be a good time. It's not going to be an easy time for anyone at the least. All right, continuing. The last time we had a little ice age was only 2 magnetic fields of the sun. I'm sorry, let me do that again. The last time we had a little ice age, only 2 magnetic fields of the sun went out of phase. This time, all 4 magnetic fields are going to go out of phase. All right, so that's why we're going into a grand solar minimum, all right, which is different than just a basic 11.3 year cycle of just a minimum or a maximum. All right, here is the professor's full presentation, and look at that. You guys can go to this YouTube link right here, and you'll be able to see her presentation. I would take a look at this if I were you. All right. Okay, and it says here, I am interested in the reader view of Professor Valentina Sarkova's presentation. Is it credible? Please comment. Let us get a conversation going. So this is the author of this article saying that if you take a look at her presentation to let them know whether you think it's valid or not. And I'm not going to go through this here, but what I wanted to show you was this right here. Upcoming modern grand minimum. It's estimated to occur between 2050 and 2055. Okay, so it's supposed to start 2050. Okay, and it's supposed to end 2055, but that's just going to be a short respite. And once we get through cycle, I think it's maybe cycle 28 or 29, it's going to get colder even after that. So we are on a downtrend as far as the global temperatures. Okay, we're on a downtrend. If you were looking at a chart, like for example one of the charts that you look at to look at the stock market over time, you would be saying we're on a bear market. All right, so if you're talking about finances, you would say that we're in a bear market if we're talking about the temperature of the earth over the next few decades, if not few centuries. All right, and it goes on to say this is a unique event in solar terrestrial connection. Reveal the pros and cons of solar dynamo models. Okay, so big impact on the terrestrial temperature via solar irradiation, that's what SI stands for, and reduction of magnetic field. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, the solar irradiation is pretty much the energy that we get from the sun, okay? And the reduction of the magnetic field is a symptom of getting less energy from the sun, okay? So the less energy that we get from the sun, the less of a magnetic field that there is around the earth to protect it from those cosmic rays that in turn create more clouds in our atmosphere that in turn shoot more of the sun's energy back out into outer space, leaving our planet cooler than it was. Okay, I hope you were able to follow that. And one of the consequences is going to be shortage of vegetation periods that can lead to possible food shortages between the years of 2028 and 2032. Now, since I said between the years 2028 and 2032, that doesn't mean that you have 10 years to get ready. Okay? These are going to be the worst periods of that cycle. Okay? The years 2028 to 2032, it could very likely be that the entire world is at a food deficit where everyone in the world will not be able to eat what they need to eat in order to survive. Okay, so in other words, people are going to die. People are going to starve. All right, it's just a fact. And the main reason this is a fact is because most governments are hiding this from the population. Why? I don't know. I have no idea why. All right, most governments are hiding this information from the population. All right. And by the time that everyone wakes up to this, it's probably going to be too late for us to be able to all prepare. All right. So those of you that are listening to this, don't believe me. Go do your own research. But please do your own research. Go do research. Don't just give this a thumbs up or a thumbs down and go to the next video. Take a few minutes to do some research. All right. Especially if you have a family. Especially if you have kids. Especially if you have people that rely on you to make sure that they can eat tomorrow. Okay, go do your own research. And one of her recommendations is, she says that we really need intergovernment efforts to avoid disaster. And how many of you think that's going to happen? I hope that happens. I hope that governments get together and say, listen, we need to do something about this. I know that China All right, China is building hundreds of acres, if not thousands of acres worth of greenhouses, as is Russia. All right, Russia has enough underground facilities to house more than 40 million people. How easy do you think it would be for them to use those facilities to grow foods, all right, with LED lighting? All right, so there are some countries that are getting ready for this. Unfortunately, here in the US, I don't see that happening. Okay, so that's all I'm going to cover from this short article here. Okay, like I said, I'm going to leave the link so that you can get the link to that YouTube video, and you guys can go ahead and do your own research, make up your own mind, and then decide what you want to do. Okay, so going on, I went ahead and pulled up a little bit of data. So this is the grains that we've harvested and the grains that we have left here in the US. I'm not going to go over the world, okay? I'm going to go over the US. And why am I going over the US? Well, obviously I'm from the US, all right? So I want to concentrate on what our country has. But the way I see it is that if we go into a global food shortage, all right, for those of us that live in the US, if we go into a global food shortage, all right, and the US goes into a food shortage, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you really think that other governments, other countries are going to send us grains? All right, obviously if we go into a food shortage ourselves, we're not going to be exporting any grains, okay? But if we go into a food shortage where Americans are actually starving, all right, and they can't get enough food, do you really think there's enough countries left in the world that really like the United States enough to send them their precious grains? I don't think so. Okay, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and cover the US, and I'm just going to cover the total grains, the estimated, the projected. Okay, and this is just this year. Okay, so this year for the total grains, which cover wheat, coarse grains, and rice. Okay, let's see here. Where is this? Okay, this column right here, if you can see my arrow, this column right here shows what we use. All right, this is what we use on an annual basis. Okay, and this is our what do you call it, our ending stock. So after we use this much, this is how much we have left. So for the years 2017, 2018, we had a stock of 88 million metric tons left after we consumed what we consumed for that year. Well, if you take a look, remember I said that we're kind of like in a bearish market. If you were looking at our food production, right, and the cooling of our earth, we're kind of like in a bearish market. We're kind of in a downturn. If you take a look at 2016-17 numbers, after the year was over and we ate everything we were going to eat or consume everything we were going to consume from what we started with, we were left with 95 million metric tons. All right, 2017 to 2018, we were left with 88 million. So that's 7 million metric tons less in 18 than what we had left in 17. Now check this out. This is the projection for 2018-19, 76 million metric tons. And then that number was downgraded to 74 million metric tons. So as you can see, we are in a downward spiral as far as what we have left over. So if you take a look at this 74 million metric tons, that may sound like a lot, ladies and gentlemen, but 74 million metric tons of grains is enough to feed the United States for about 2 months. So let's say something like what is projected to happen actually happens, that we have one, or hopefully not, but that we have 2 years without a summer, meaning that the entire world was not able to produce any food for 1 year. Let's just say for 1 year. We will have enough grains left over to feed our population for 2 months. What are we going to do for the next 10 months? That's a good question, isn't it? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do to prepare for this? Like I said, we all have been given time to prepare. Unfortunately, these numbers are getting low enough to where I think that by the year 2020, 2021, they're probably going to be flat. We're probably going to be producing just enough food on an annual basis to cover what we need. Okay, I hope I'm wrong, but just look at the numbers. They're on a downward trend. And take a look at the global temperatures. Those of you that think that the earth is actually warming, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you've been duped. We've all been duped, okay? It's been a huge money grab for the last 20 plus years, and we've been duped. So those of you that are listening to this video, hopefully you're open-minded enough to please go do your own research and see for yourself. The numbers don't lie, okay? Go listen to that video from Dr. Sarkovich. Is that her name? Sarkova, sorry. From Dr. Sarkova. Go listen to her video, all right? Go do some research and figure this out, because when the time comes and you need to go buy food and there's no food available for you to buy, you're going to wish you had done some research, and you've got plenty of time now to do it, okay? So another reason why I titled this video, if you think you have enough food stored away or enough food prepped, you need to think again. I went ahead and worked up a very comprehensive worksheet, very basic, okay? So just please follow with me. So I went ahead and worked up a basic worksheet, all right, or spreadsheet that shows what you need to have as far as nutrition in order to survive. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you read rice, beans, wheat berries, canola oil, salt, that right there is what you need to survive, all right? So I understand food fatigue and all these things, but this is just what you need to survive as far as calories, all right? Of course, that you're going to want to supplement these foods with other foods, you know, like with some vegetables that you can put away, canned goods, etc., etc. However, what I wanted to display here is how inexpensive it is for you to prepare and to at least have some food insurance so that you don't have to starve should the time ever come that you have to fall back on your preps. And these items right here, these items will allow you to not starve. Okay, so this is what I would do, or this is what I'm doing. I am prepping the basics and then supplementing it. For those of you that have seen my pantry video, you'll see that I'm supplementing it with a variety of other things in order to combat food fatigue, all right, and in order to have some diversity, okay? And having said that, some of you may say, well, you're going to need vitamins. Yes, of course, all right? But what I'm trying to get at here is this is what you need in order to live. This is the very basic foods that you need in order to live, okay? So I wanted to do this to show some of you that may not be prepping how easy it is and how inexpensive it is to prep. However, the amount of prepping that I think we're going to have to do in order to get through the next 20 years is going to take a lot of food, all right? So don't worry about that. Slow and steady wins the race. You have time to get these things prepped, all right? You have time to figure out the logistics of how you're going to store it, where you're going to store it, how much of it you're going to store, all right? That's going to have to be your decision on how much. But I broke it down to rice, okay? So your average rice, 1 pound of rice runs 1,655 calories. And this is uncooked rice, okay? So 1 pound of rice runs 1,655 calories, okay? And let's see. 1 pound of beans runs about 1,574 calories. 1 pound of wheat berries runs 1,520 calories, okay? So we're looking at a pound of rice, and these are all of the grams of the different, you know, protein, fats, carbs. That's not that important over here, okay? I just put that in there for, you know, for the fun of it. But what I want to break down is how much is it going to cost you to prep, all right? So I broke it down. So I broke it down into bulk food prices. So a 50-pound bag of long grain rice usually averages roughly about 21 bucks, all right? So a 50-pound bag of rice, you're looking at probably about 40 cents a pound, all right? For a 50-pound bag of beans, you're looking at about 60 cents a pound. All right. For wheat berries, you're looking at about 90 cents a pound. For a gallon of canola oil, I went to the extreme and put that a gallon cost about $10. I know that I can personally go get a gallon of canola oil right now for around $5, but I put $10 just to go on the extreme because prices are different in different places. For a 25-pound bag of salt, you're looking at about $8. Okay, if you go to your big box stores like Sam's Club or Costco's, you're looking at about $8 for a 25-pound bag of salt. Okay, so I went ahead and broke that down. If you guys can follow me over here to this green block, and I went ahead and broke this down for 2 people. Okay, so for 2 people to eat for one day at these prices, okay, it's going to cost $1.94 for one day. All right, and that $1.94 equals to just shy of 5,000 calories. So each person is going to be able to eat about 2,437 calories. Right? So 2,437 calories per person for 2 people for one day equals $1.94. Now, if you have a family of 4, just double that. If you have a family of 6, triple that, etc. If you have a family of 3, go ahead and multiply that times 1.5. Okay? And that's going to give you about how much you're going to spend for this nutrition up here, okay? For this nutrition per day, okay? So then if you go out and decide to prep for 1 month, you're going to end up spending about $58. That $58 is going to get you about 146,000 calories, all right? That's going to be enough for 2 people to live off of for 1 month. So you're looking at $58 for 2 people to eat for 1 month. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where my payday preps come in nice and handy, because if you get paid twice a month, you're only spending what? Less than $30. You're spending $29 every payday to gather enough food for you and one other person to eat for 2 weeks. So every month, if you spend $58, you're guaranteeing, you're insuring your family's food insurance for 1 month for measly $58. How many of you spend $58 a month going to a restaurant and paying for somebody else to cook you a burger and fries? Because I know that if I take my family out to a sit-down restaurant where if we just each ordered a hamburger and fries and a drink, it's going to be well over $58. Okay, so there is no excuse right here for people to not be prepping at least this, at this level. All right, you should be at least prepping at $58 a month. All right, to guarantee that you and one other person will have enough food for 1 whole month. All right, and like I said, if you have more than 2 people in your home, then just multiply that number times whatever it is. All right, I took it all the way out to a 6 month. So look at how cheap it is for you to get food insurance for your family. For 6 months, 2 people can eat for $350. $350 will get you 877,000 calories of nutrition. All right, take it out for 1 year. For 1 year, you can spend $700, $698. You can get enough nutrition for 1 year, 1 full year, for $700, for just shy of $700, which turns out to be about 1.75 million calories. All right. Now this is my goal. I'm nowhere near it, but this is my goal. My goal is 10 years worth of food. And 10 years worth of food turns out to about $7,000. All right. But that 10 years is really cut in half. Okay. Because obviously I have more than 2 people in my family. But I think personally that a 10-year food supply is still not enough. But it should be enough for you to be able to get your act together, all right, and get yourself a greenhouse. Start planting a garden. All right, get a whole bunch of seeds. By the way, if you guys have not entered the contest for the seed vault that I'm giving away 16,500 seeds, 40 garden variety seed vault. All right, I'm giving away 6 of those. If you haven't gone to that video to enter that contest, go to the video that I did 2 Sundays ago. So not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before. Go to that video. All you have to do is be subscribed, like, and leave a comment. All right, your comment will be your entry into that video. And the drawing for the 6 winners is going to be this upcoming Sunday, okay? So pretty much the first Sunday of December is going to be the drawing for those 6 winners. So if you guys haven't gone to that video, go to that video, like, make sure you're subscribed, leave a comment, and you'll be entered to win one of those 6 seed vaults, okay? However, make sure that you have a lot of seeds, okay? So let me explain to you why it is so important that you prep a lot of seeds. Let's say that, first of all, the seeds that I'm giving away are heirloom seeds. They're non-GMO. What does that mean? It means that these seeds have not been genetically modified. And what does that mean? It means that when you plant these seeds, for example, let's say you plant cucumbers and you harvest your cucumbers. You can actually harvest the seeds from the cucumbers that you grew. You can dry them and you can use those seeds next year. That is something that you cannot do with your genetically modified seeds that you get, from your big businesses, big corporations that sell us that poison. All right. So, for example, if you go to the store and you buy a genetically modified, a GMO cucumber, if you try to use the seeds in that cucumber, they will probably more than likely not grow anything. Okay. So with heirloom seeds or non-GMO seeds, those seeds will be able to get harvested every year and you can reuse them over and over again. So the question is then, if you can reuse these seeds, then why do you have to buy a lot of them? This is why. Let's say, for example, that you plant your garden, all right, and we end up having a year without a summer, where we don't have enough solar irradiation, all right, to grow your garden. There's just not enough energy coming in from the sun to grow your garden. What's going to happen to the seeds that you planted? Those seeds are going to rot and they're going to go away. You're not going to be able to reuse those seeds. So you need to have more than a 1-year supply of seeds, all right? If you need 1 package of seeds, like the ones that I'm giving away, if you need one of those in order to plant your garden for that year, then you should have 5, 6, 10 of those packs, just to make sure that you have a backup to a backup to a backup in case you cannot yield a harvest that year. Okay, so that's why it's important to have seeds in addition to having your very basic nutrition in order for you to be able to stay alive and be able to function. Okay, now having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of people are going to probably say, well, what about having this and what about having that? Listen, what it comes down to is this: you need to have the basics in order to survive. Once you have the basics, okay, then you can add on to that and diversify and have all the other things. For example, I love butter, okay, but these things up here will keep me alive. All right, butter is like an extra. Butter is something that you like to have, right? It's not something that you need. All right, so once you get your basics covered and you have everything you need to sustain life, then go ahead and start spending money on all those other peripherals. All right, but first you should have a set amount of food put away. You need to make a goal and decide how many months, how many years am I going to prep for, and get your basics out of the way first. And these basics that I'm talking about here, with the exception of the canola oil, which doesn't have a very, very long shelf life, okay, it'll probably last a couple of years on the shelf, and if you put it in a freezer, it'll probably add another 2 or 3 years to that, okay. But with the exception of the canola oil, Everything you see here, rice, beans, wheat berries, salt, will last 30 plus years. The salt will last forever. But the rice, the beans, and the wheat berries, these things will last 35, 40 years if you package them correctly. If you haven't seen one of the videos that I've done on packaging grains for long term in Mylar bags and using oxygen absorber, just go back to my video playlist and you'll be able to find one. I did one not too long ago, maybe a month or two ago, and then I did one or two others prior to that. Okay, so you can go and check out one of those videos if you want to learn how to package things in Mylar bags. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much all I have for this video. But I do want to tell you all that hard times are coming. Alright, and whether you want to believe it or not, they're going to get here. The question is this: are you going to be prepared? Alright, do you have your 5 B's of prepping? Alright, beans, band-aids, bullets, bouillon, alright, barter items. Do you have those things? If you don't have any of those things, start with your beans, all right? Because without beans, you're not going to live, all right? And when I say beans, for those of you that are new to this channel, when I say beans, I mean life-sustaining things like food, water, shelter, all right? You need something to cook that food with, all right? Heat, all right? Fuel. That's what beans stands for. It doesn't just stand for food. It stands for pretty much the things that you need in order to continue to live, in order for your biological clock to keep ticking. That's what it means. All right, so having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I probably made this video a little longer than what I should have because, as always, I started blabbing and I didn't stop. So I hope you guys had a good day on Tuesday. You should be seeing this video Wednesday morning. All right, hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon. I'll try to be putting up, this is a payday prep video this week too. So this Thursday or Friday, there's definitely going to be a payday prep video. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I got at good deals. Of course I did, because Costco's is now open for business. All right, so having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.